Marvel Age Star Wars presents a special edition. Oh, should I say special edition? Does that give it a bad context already?
We need more computer-generated effects.
Special edition episode. Yeah, if we could just put something going over my shoulder while I'm talking for no reason, and then just walk in front of the camera.
Yeah, so
in front of me.
Definitely need green screen.
So, are we doing? Is this it? Are we starting over? I'm confused.
This is the show. This is
it. That's your intro.
We started it already.
All right, welcome to
My Dinner production.
Yes, Marvel Age Star Wars in
association
conjunction with TV Ate My Dinner, the podcast, which has me and Sean on it. And this over here is Greg. You can hear him on our
who's also on TV Ate
long
My Dinner.
history of TV Ate My Dinner.
On like 5-year-old episodes of TV Ate My Dinner.
Well, he's one of the founding original members
quarantine specials
of TV Ate My Dinner. So,
of which this is technically kind of almost one too.
So welcome, Greg, everybody.
Yes.
And it's Sean very awkwardly called it a special edition because we're going to talk about something different than the Marvel comics. We're going to just talk about Mandalorian because it's topical and definitely Star Wars related. First episode just came out.
Like, this is a thing we've attempted often and failed always at. But what we would like
no reason to stop now
is an episode for episode of Mandalorian. Now that we have this new technology to try to do a video follow-up to every episode as they happen.
So season 2, episode 1 just aired.
The Marshal.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I thought it was an excellent episode.
I liked it. I've got a list, though. I've got a list of things that got on my nerves. You know I always do.
Of course.
I don't want to hear about Tatooine. They went to Tatooine.
It's on the list.
You're going to have to get over it. They're going to go to the places that they've been before because that familiarity is just part of it.
Okay.
I'm excited because you guys may not know like Cobb Vanth or any of this kind of stuff or its connection to the expanded lore, but I'm actually really excited.
That's the Timothy Oliphant guy?
Yes.
Well, I didn't know
he had I didn't know he existed outside of this episode. I didn't know he had
a rich history.
I didn't know that character, but then I watched some YouTube videos after I watched The Mandalorian to find all the Easter eggs and things like that, and I saw that that the character Cobb, I guess, has a long history.
Yeah, he doesn't really, unless there's more to his history than I know about. He doesn't have a long history, but he was introduced in the new canon expanded universe, so the fact that they're going back to that, because right when Disney started doing this, they launched the Aftermath trilogy, which was sort of like the new canon answer to the original Thrawn trilogy, but it wasn't as good or coherent as that. It just happened to take place in the same time period and cover some of the same sort of struggles where they're trying to overthrow the remnants of the empire and everything, except it mostly revolved around a new cast of characters, and it had a really annoying habit of just cutting away to things that were going on in the Star Wars universe at that time that had nothing at all to do with the story of the Aftermath trilogy. And one of those vignettes was the story of Cobb Vanth. And I want to say that he may have appeared in this one. I can't remember. This is the third one.
Read it real quick while we talk.
Okay, hang on. No, I've got it marked. So.
Oh my God.
But
well, I had no idea that he was a pre-existing character. That's kind of neat. I didn't know that.
Well, what was neat about it was it was just a little sort of interlude in the books, and I think it happened in the third one, but like I said, since it didn't matter to the story, it could happen in any of them. But there was a whole thing about like a down and out guy who bought a set of beat up Mandalorian armor from a Jawa sandcrawler, and you're like, oh, okay, so they're kind of saying Boba Fett's still alive because these guys, we assume they recovered the armor. Maybe they recovered his body and whatever.
Yeah, I kind of thought
they're suggesting that Boba Fett could still be out there. He's certainly not in the Sarlaac anymore.
That is true, but what I thought was he would not have given that armor away. I mean, so if Jawa's had it, he must have been dead. Of
Well, I just
course,
assumed
later on,
Or,
we'll
was
get
out
into
of it.
that. We'll
or
get into that.
He'd been chewed up
incapacitated.
by a Sarlaac, so they probably found him in a compromised state.
Let's start at the beginning. We're going to
If it's
jump ahead of ourselves. So it opens on a cool, new looking place, which I was very appreciative of. A new urban environment of some kind, lots of graffiti and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. We're not in some place we've seen 100 times. And he goes
No.
into a fighting club, which is pretty cliche, but okay. And they're Gamorreans there. And that didn't bother me that much because I always thought those guys are awesome. And it wasn't like a big part of the story. They were
Yeah.
just like, okay, so that
And
didn't
they're
bother
pretty
me.
jacked. They're not like those fat Gamorreans that work for Jabba. Those
I
guys
thought
are
they
That's
looked
what-
kind of
that's what-
skinny.
jacked.
Yeah, I thought they
But-
were sort
but
of
they were
skinny
like-
Gamorreans. It's like
They were lean. They
Yeah,
were
maybe
wiry.
lean's a good way to look at it, but I thought they
had
looked
some
kind of
muscle
thin.
to them.
so those Gamorreans and Java's pilots, they were just like
They're
low,
like the
low rent
drunken
bodyguards.
slobs.
Yeah, drunken
Well,
slob.
You
bodyguards.
saw how they do. They just all sit around in a heap. Like imagine in Return of the Jedi, Leia is going to rescue Han, and this scene makes me nuts anyway. But she goes to rescue Han. She takes her helmet off, and she's like, "I'm actually Princess Leia." He's like, "Okay, whatever." And then all of a sudden, you hear some chuckling, and behind a curtain, it's Jabba and his entire entourage just waiting there quietly, like,
Hoping
like,
she'll sneak
what?
in at some point.
Which
Like,
means
okay,
two
she's coming.
things.
Everybody, shh, shh, shh. She's
Yeah,
coming.
not only do they have like a standing surprise party protocol, they can get into it in a given moment, but they apparently all just sleep in this big room together,
Yeah.
and it's not weird. Like
Yeah.
Jabba wasn't like, let's all hang behind the big curtain and see how this plays out. There's something weird about this Boosh fella.
I
Notice
like
that,
how, like,
notice
later
that
on when the
Boba Fett wasn't in that scene. That he's not the kind of guy that's just going to lay up and.
He's the kind of guy that's gonna have his own room. He probably
Yeah.
sleeps in his ship or something.
with
Yeah.
some of them Twi'leks. Is that how you pronounce that?
Or like he was
Mm.
he was chinooping with a couple of the dancer girls.
So I like the
assume
Gamorreans. I
that he
thought that
locked
was
it
kind
in.
of cool, kind of a neat throwback. And then, of course, I feel like the plot is kind of generic. And like, how many times have we seen you go into a fighting thing, enjoy the fights, and you go in there and fight, and then it turns into some kind of intrigue with the boss guy there, and then you end up
Yeah.
fighting. I feel like we've seen that.
It is kind of on Mando after a while.
What's
He's
that?
like,
Altered Carbon? They just did it in that, like, not that long ago. It's
"Oh,
it's
yeah,
something I've
that's right."
seen a lot of times.
Mando should be at this point aware that he can't trust these people.
But he goes there, I guess, because that guy knows where to find another Mandalorian.
Who played
And-
that guy? Was that John Leguizamo?
His voice
He was
by
in the
John
credits.
Leguizamo.
So maybe I saw
But
his name
there-
in the credits, and I didn't remember seeing him in the show. So maybe it
But
was.
there was a little bit of a rumor that it was Mark Hamill in the makeup, but it was,
I haven't heard that. That's weird.
Well, he
Yeah.
does show up. He was in season 1.
Mhm.
Huh.
He was like the robot when he goes back to Tatooine in season 1.
To me, it's interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, I thought that scene was a little bit, boilerplate for a bounty hunter story, going into the Fight Club or whatever. But and I guess they felt like they needed to reset, put him on the trail of what he was doing at the end of the last episode of the season.
Well, and they
Yeah.
need to maintain that Western motif.
Yeah.
Like they had the story built up at the end of season 1, and got into like a bigger, like it's us versus 100 stormtroopers kind of story. Like this
Mhm.
one had to take it kind of back down to the roots where he's just like a guy and he's going into bars, like asking,
But-
"Hey, anybody
but
see
I-
any Jedis?"
I'm not trying to be a weirdo about picking on things like I do. Honestly, I enjoyed the episode. I mean, I really did. I liked it.
Mhm.
But like, if we're gonna get into that, like, why did he fly all the way to this planet to talk to this one dude searching for another Mandalorian? He had just spent time with like the head armorer or whatever of his group, and a dozen other Mandalorians. None of them had the information of where this thing came from, but he's like, if I can find one more Mandalorian, they'll know somebody that knows something.
I
I
actually
guess
think
that's
it
what.
might have been to lay the seed for maybe stuff that's coming later, because he went to that cityscape where all that droid graffiti. If you look at it, it's like all you know graffiti of various droids and stuff, and
Yeah.
and there was that movement that was talked about in last season, with like the free droid movement or something like that.
Well, and one
Yeah.
thing that Megan mentioned is that potentially a reference to Sabine Wren, all that graffiti
Mm-hmm.
from Rebels. I don't know. Do you
And I
watch
mean,
Rebels?
that's that.
Yeah, I know.
No, I saw like the first 4 or 5 episodes. I haven't finished it.
Oh, you
Obviously.
must not. You're going to be lost. Honestly, you may be lost a little bit because I feel like some of the stuff from Rebels is going to come back.
Well, they shouldn't
in
make it to where
Mandalorian.
you're lost if you don't watch
Well, I don't mean that.
an
but I
animated
mean,
show.
You're going to look stupid on this show.
Oh, well, I already look stupid
That's
on this
what's
show.
going to happen, and I'm just looking out for you.
So I've already we'll accept that his mission doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But he goes there and he does his thing and he strings the guy up and he's like, I promise you won't die by my hands, which is like such an
No,
we know
no.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I never
the guy
want
should've
that
gone,
specific
well,
a promise.
And
Yeah,
why
really,
did he
it's
have to
okay.
go back to Tatooine? I know you guys say it's gonna happen, but why? Why do we have to go back to Tatooine again?
I'm with you, because it annoys the crap out of me that they always end up on Tatooine somehow.
Like, we spent a lot of money on
Well-
this Jawa sandcrawler. We got to use this thing.
Yeah, but
What's
but,
annoying to me about that is not that they did it, because, like I said, I'm glad that he goes there. I'm glad we get to see Cobb Vanth. I'm glad that this is sort of,
Was
build up
Cobb
to
Vanth
the
on
return
Tatooine?
of- yeah,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean a thing to Mando. But to me, this might have been more interesting if he had gone back to Tatooine, because while he was searching around for Jedis, he got wind of like, hey, apparently Tatooine just gets lousy with Jedis sometimes. There's like tons of Jedis
That would have
who
made
just
more
live
sense.
there, have been
Instead of
from
looking,
there.
of looking for another Mandalorian, he should have been searching for Jedi stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi lived on Tatooine. Luke Skywalker. We should. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, because I was thinking that too. It's like, okay, if he's trying to get Baby Yoda home, then why is he going and looking for other Mandalorians? That didn't.
As a viewer, I'm thinking as like the writers think. I know why they went to Tatooine, because they wanted to bring Boba Fett's armor in, and Boba Fett's armor is on Tatooine, and that's
But it would have
the
made a lot
only
more
reason
sense if he
they
were
wrote
there
that.
for some other reason and he just saw a dude sitting in a bar wearing Mandalorian
Yes.
armor who
See,
clearly was not a Mandalorian.
That's what I think they should have done. But
Mhm.
in their minds, they're like, we got to get that Boba Fett in there. Let's make him go look for, whatever.
Take that off or I will. It's like,
Yeah.
excuse me?
Like, it's like right here, right
Like,
here. It's like, whoa, dude.
Well, and
All right.
of course, to me that
Best
was
or worst night, depending on what you're into.
that was a little bit contrived too. I thought, because they, I felt like they needed to give Timothy Oliphant his justified moment, because everybody, knows him from that character in that show, Justified. You guys watch Justified?
I was
That's a good
thinking
show.
from
Deadwood.
Deadwood. Yeah, he's
Deadwood.
like the
he's in the new
gunslinger.
season of Fargo too now. He's great.
Mhm,
he's
yeah.
great in everything.
He's yeah.
I liked him in that show with Drew Barrymore. What was that thing that?
Oh, I
That
didn't
silly
watch
zombie.
the Santa Clarita Diet.
I mean, it's
was that-
dumb, but he's really
I
funny
didn't
in it.
watch it.
It really shows his comedic chops. Anyways,
Yeah, he's good in Fargo for that because he's got that Fargo way of acting. No, he doesn't have that accent. He's like a Mormon from Utah.
But
I
yeah,
thought it was weird because they played it up like Mando was like seriously going to murder this dude, which seemed a little weird. But then he just gets up, it's like 1 sec, and then it comes back. I think we can work something out. I mean, a real Mando would have been like, "We've already worked it out. You're taking it off right now." I'm not going to kill a monster. Like, why would I do that? I'm just going to kill you right here
No,
and
the
take them.
D&D element of that, I've got to really, I got to really give him props for that because that's a perfect setup for an adventure. And also,
Oh, it
like,
is,
look,
but
man,
it's
I bought
contrived.
this legit. Like, why are you telling me to take it off?
I
'Cause you
bought
know
this
you've got
from
a
some
cultural
scavengers who are
code.
known for stealing things.
But
Like,
Do
I
you
bought
know
this
the
from
guy this was
Vince.
stolen from? Like, no, you're trying to recover your cultural artifacts or something. That's nothing to me. So I'm supposed to walk around without my laser-proof armor. So
Well,
you do
it'd have been
what? Take
different
it
if
and
he
melt
had
it down and give it to
approached
some
him
other
before.
person?
It's like,
Yeah.
we need to work something out, get that back. But he wasn't. He's like, I'm going to take it from you by force right now, right here in front of the kid. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? Let's go
Yeah.
do this instead. That's cool, though.
It's like
I didn't like the things on my list. I didn't like Tatooine, #1. That we have to have the Krayt Dragon, of course.
I like seeing the
Tusken
Krayt Dragon,
Raiders,
I
though.
like seeing the
of
Krayt
course.
Dragon.
I thought it was cool too, but at the same time, I'm like, you know,
I like how the
it's like
Krayt
a greatest hits. Let's pull out every single thing that we know about Tatooine.
But I
But
love how
what's
they
left?
played the Krayt Dragon, because the Krayt Dragon was such a bastard. Like, like when the Sam person and the Bantha went out there, he
Yeah,
went out
and he ate him.
ate the Tusken. It's just
It's
like,
terrible.
man, that guy, that not only is he big and mean, he's a jerk.
Yeah. And he spits acid.
Yeah.
And did
Not
he
fair.
ate a Sarlaac, I guess?
Yeah.
Or did he eat the
That's-
Sarlaac that
Yeah,
Boba
that's
Fett
how
was in?
Boba Fett got loose in the first place.
Maybe.
I couldn't help but notice that the Tusken Raiders also did the bulk of the dying in that fight.
Yeah,
they're-
well,
I'm actually legit
as an
surprised.
imperialist sort of story, that tracks.
I had a thought in my mind, and the whole time I'm like, I know this is going to happen. And then they didn't, which was a pleasant surprise. But, they kept saying, they're monsters. They're not like us. They're monsters. I was like, at the end, one of them's going to be dead, and they're going to be burying them and stuff. And they're going to look, and his helmet's going to have come off, and he's going to be a human. He's going to look like they do. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what they look like under all that.
Yeah,
And then the
assuming they're
villagers are gonna go,
human-ish because
It's
they're
going to
not.
be like a reveal to the humans, like, they're just like us. I was legit surprised that didn't happen, because I felt like they were
always
building
thought
to
they
that.
were humans. Like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there's
know they
no
got that
reason to
crazy
think they're
yell,
not.
but
Well, Mando can talk the same, so there's no reason they can't.
they're like the Reavers from Firefly. They just went out in the desert. And got
Yeah, they're
nuts.
savages, but that doesn't mean they're a different species, right? Anyways, I'm surprised they didn't do that. I thought it was kind of cool, the cultural, seeing them talk to each other around the campfire and stuff.
Yeah,
I did
and
like
that Mando
learning
has
more.
like a relationship with them, like he can work with them, and they have a sort of half sign language kind of thing. I think that stuff is cool.
Yeah, I didn't mind
Yeah.
learning more about them. It just felt a little bit like, again, they're just hitting everything that we already know about Star Wars and just, waving it in front of us like a shiny object.
Like Mando makes friends really easy.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he's always
You're
like,
such a
I hope we
gruff
see each other again.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Now that you took all my stuff, I
And that
probably won't because
the girl in the garage with her pod droids, who's supposed to be funny, I guess, but
Yeah.
we come back to her. That's his best contact. This world-renowned warrior.
Well,
Well, he used to be more of an outlaw, so most of his old friends are bad guys and not good friends.
Didn't the Krayt Dragon give you a Dune kind of vibe?
well, that's the whole inspiration for those anyway. I thought,
No, Dune came out before. You're
That's
talking
what-
about? Are you talking about Krayt Dragons are based on Dune?
Yeah, well,
I would
Lucas
say that they're
originally
probably
was
drawn from that,
really
yeah.
influenced by Dune. So yeah,
Yeah.
you don't see it as much in the final.
I didn't know
Wow.
Krayt Dragons were under the sand kind of thing. I thought they were just
No, I had never heard that either.
yeah. I
Seems
just
like
thought that
I-
was interesting since Dune's coming out soon.
Yeah.
It's in production. I thought that was kind of weird.
I feel like I just always knew that. Maybe I just always assumed that they were kind of sandworm type creatures that they traveled.
I thought they were like giant lizards, like dinosaur
So
things.
they're dragons.
Yeah, and the skeleton they see is on the surface. It just looks like a big snake or something.
Mm.
And
See
in
Virgil
Star
just
Wars.
stalking me.
Yeah. I see him. He's
What
looking
are you
at
doing?
Greg. That's what he's doing. It's like, I got my eye on you, Starks.
Hey, dog. Your
Oh,
cat's
there he
back there. Your cat's back there too.
Oh, really? Probably
Mhm.
Sue's. Is he a big fat gray one?
Look like black and white.
Oh, well, that's Tallulah then. She's sundowning, so she's been running around like a crazy person already.
But
I think that's all the complaints I had. Just that they keep doing that. But I did
hope
like it.
that the reason that they're back at Tatooine ends up bearing fruit. That like now he's not here to find Luke, but now that you're here and you're going to run into Boba Fett, like maybe it'd be nice if you did get some info, like, well, you know, I used to work for a crime boss and he fought like a powerful Jedi and was killed by him and blah, blah, blah. Like I know all about these guys, so maybe I could help you. Like
Wow,
they
that'd
would
be
be, if it
quite a
bore that kind of
surprise with-
fruit,
Yeah.
that would be kind of
Okay,
fun,
so-
because that would be a reason. It's
Yeah.
like I said, they didn't contrive a very good reason to get him there, but that is a good reason to take the story there if that's what it ends up leading to.
So
But,
that is definitely Boba Fett at the end. Then
I
That's the-
think, yeah.
I
that's
think
we
so,
know it's
yeah.
the
Could've
we know
been-
I
it's
don't-
the
I
actor
don't think it's
that
Captain
played.
Rex. Yeah,
It's
it's
the
definitely the
actor.
actor.
Yeah. I mean, I
But,
guess
I
it
mean-
could be any clone. I
But
mean,
what would be the point if it's not
Yeah.
Boba Fett? What would be the point?
But
of
if it is
showing
Boba
up?
Fett, why did he? How did he lose his armor?
Well,
And he's
well, I think it's funny. Like we're way away from it in Marvel Age Star Wars, but they did have an issue of the Marvel comic where he came back and he was all kind of moon brained for a while and had
really?
kind of a robot brain. I can't remember why. Like,
Because of the Sarlaac?
had amnesia. Yeah,
or it's like having like the Lobot thing on his hand.
I can't remember.
Uh,
It was a weird issue, but I just remember really liking it when I was a kid because they brought back Boba Fett. And
I'm
so
interested to
is
see-
he the one that we see in season 1 who steps up at the end of that one episode where they're out in the Tatooine desert?
I always assumed that was going to be Cobb Vanth, that was the guy in Boba Fett's outfit, but they didn't mention that. So you would have thought that Ming-Na might have shown up at this point. But I still think it seems more likely to me that whoever that was, because the reason everyone thought that was Boba Fett was because it was Boba Fett's outfit. They're like, that is Boba Fett's outfit. That's Boba Fett's. Like, well, Boba Fett doesn't have Boba Fett's outfit. Cobb Vanth. And now the show has affirmed that as actual canon, like that outfit was.
All he had was
being
his
worn by
chest
someone else.
plate and his helmet and his backpack.
Well,
he
and
didn't
we're
have like the
also
full thing.
assuming that Boba
I
Fett
guess he wasn't
lost-
wearing his pants and boots.
that-
It's like, come on, Jawas.
Yeah, that
Give
Boba
guys some
Fett lost
dignity.
his armor as a result of being in the Sarlaac pit. He might have escaped the Sarlaac pit just fine, was going about his business and got jacked by the Jawas.
No.
But you
Boba
know,
Fett
I
did not
assume
get
that-
jacked by the Jawas.
Like at this, here's the timeline that I'm going to create at this point. Sarlaac got attacked by the Krayt Dragon. Krayt Dragon killed the Sarlaac, spit Boba Fett up, and the Jawas found a Boba Fett half dead from being nearly digested by Sarlaac, stole his armor, dumped him in the desert, and then the Krayt Dragon ate the Sarlaac and holed up in the Sarlacc's nest, which is where they found him when Cobb Vanth was there, which would make sense because Cobb Vanth was in the same general area that those Jawas were, because he bought the armor from the Jawas.
Yeah,
That's my
that
timeline.
tracks. I think that tracks.
It's all connected.
So Boba is now
It's-
stalking.
What was the guy's?
He's
what was
stalking
the name
Mando
of-
now, or was he looking for his armor? I mean, why else is he looking, like tracking them? I feel like if he was looking for his armor, Cobb Vanth wouldn't have had much of a chance.
Well, maybe he was tracking down the armor and he got that far, and then before he was able to make his move, Mando came in.
Yeah.
Or maybe he doesn't care about the armor.
Yeah, so
no
like
one
maybe he's gone
says
through
that
some
it-
sort of spiritual enlightenment or something.
Was Jango Fett, do we know this from the canon? Was Jango Fett a Mandalorian?
I don't know.
There's debate because apparently somewhere it was let out there that he wasn't technically a true Mandalorian. He was like he stole the armor from somebody. Or
See, that's what I'm thinking. And Boba clearly isn't a Mandalorian. I mean, know anything about Mandalorians.
He's
was
in the
raised
same
in a
outfit that
factory with his
Django
dad.
had,
but
right?
the thing is, like, what is a
Assuming,
Mandalorian?
yeah.
I mean,
But it looks different. The colors, or did he have it painted or something?
I guess so,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Well,
it
see,
got beat up.
that's
a
actually
lot.
one of the things that I'm having a hard time with. Is like, what is a Mandalorian? Is a Mandalorian somebody from Mandalore, or is it somebody who follows this religion? Is
Well,
it,
it's
you
it's two different things now. In the time of the Clone Wars, it would have been a person from the planet Mandalore. This whole
Mhm.
idea that Mandalorian is a creed is a new thing because their planet and culture were destroyed and they were spread throughout the universe. And now those remnants of Mandalorians take foundlings in, and they raised them under that idea. This idea of Mandalorians never take their helmets off and all that, that's a relatively new idea in the Star Wars universe. That wasn't the case. Like in the Clone Wars, there are Mandalorians all over the place, mostly not wearing helmets. It would be a ridiculous planet if they were all just refusing to take their helmets off and running off into the bathroom every time they needed to take a drink of water.
Well, I don't know, man. Mandalorians are odd people because they wear the helmets, and then they also love those damn jetpacks, which kill more Mandalorians than probably the whole Empire.
Well, they say, man, like, you really have to know what you're doing on these jetpacks, and every Mandalorian's like, whatever. And like, there are very few properly trained jetpack Mandalorians.
Well,
but everybody always says, don't just run off, because that's what Mando did. They're like, you really have to, you got to practice with this. Like, the next day, he's like flying off after a TIE fighter, and it's like, well, whatever, man.
I don't need luck. I'm the best.
Or just wing it.
Is his name again? His name is Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth.
He shot a rocket out of Boba Fett's backpack, which was cool.
Which
and
was
blew
a
up
cool
the
moment
skies.
for me,
And then later
the
on,
first time we've seen that happen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Later on, he does it again. I'm like, you have extra rockets?
I guess
Boba Fett didn't carry around a bunch of rockets. I don't know where he would have gotten that unless
maybe that rocket is a standard part.
Maybe you could just buy it somewhere, like buy rockets.
Mandalorians didn't invent rockets, Brooks.
Rocket John.
Duh.
I mean, you can always buy another rocket.
You think they don't have rockets on Tatooine?
Would be a terrible invention as a rocket launcher if there was no rockets
So I had to build
already.
So she's looking at the little map.
Good point. Like, of course, if I invented a rocket launcher, it assumes the pre-existence of rockets.
Launchable rockets, right?
Yeah.
Not just any rocket.
Otherwise, yeah.
Rockets that fit this tube.
So this
Bad
goes to show you,
invention.
man, that thing on their back is a death machine, because it's just like
Well,
not
this
only
true
is
is
it
like,
a rocket pack, it's got
so
it's got
where do I put
explosives in it.
the explosive? It's like right above the jet thrusters.
Right behind-
of the
And
rocket.
behind your head.
right behind your head.
Yeah. And just in the middle? Oh, yeah, because we need the parts on either side for fuel. Like,
It looks kind of goofy
There's
when
no
he
wonder
has
our
to bend
culture is
over to shoot
destroyed.
it.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of goofy. In the Army, they have actual like lock-on rocket launching devices that shoot in the air, and then they track the target.
Oh
and
It
go
is
yeah.
down.
true,
And
like,
they don't
you
have
have
to
heat
do that. They
seekers.
could have pulled the thing down and he just like push a
And
button.
it just fired. I don't think it was goofy. I had to like.
Yeah.
again, that gets me back to my theory about John Favreau is that this
playing
episode
with his
written and
toys.
directed by him it's totally. Why did he do that? Is like because that's how the figure works. You bend that figure over. So there was no other way to do
Yeah.
it. They had to play it that way.
Maybe they'll introduce a Mandalorian that's like has no paint on it at all, like the one that's very collectible.
Yeah, that would have been the
that with
way
no paint at all, and
for the guy. Well, technically, like I'm not saying they would put this much thought into it, but most of the paint was sort of buffed off of that outfit of the Boba Fett costume. He did sort of look like the prototype a little bit. I kind of think that's more along with my suggestion that he was practically digested by the Sarlaac.
Yeah, because we didn't get the wrist rockets or the knee, the shin guards or any of that stuff. It really looked kind of bare bones.
Yeah, he didn't have all the pieces, like you said. Vanth didn't. So maybe like they recovered some of the stuff off of him, and then Boba Fett like ran away. Like, hey, what's going on here?
Being digested over 1,000 years. I mean, maybe Boba hadn't been out of the Sarlaac long.
Well, it hasn't been 1,000, obviously, because
Well,
Jedi only takes how long is this after Jedi?
Well, I mean, I think what Greg is saying is that it takes a while to digest. So he.
Oh yeah,
right.
of course.
So he would still be alive.
Well, he'd starve to death though,
But he's
right?
like eating the Sarlaac while the Sarlaac's eating him.
Yeah. What's he drinking?
Maybe the Sarlaac like does
urine.
something, anesthetizes them or something, and then also
maybe.
I could buy a hibernation theory. Yeah, like
It's
that's
silly.
part of what
It's
it
silly
does.
to try to argue the science of these things.
But
what
to me,
I'm saying is the Krayt Dragon. It's like Boba maybe now be pissed because they killed the Krayt Dragon, because the Krayt Dragon's the one that saved
Maybe.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think
really.
Boba has those kind of emotions.
Yeah.
He did look at
That
the end
Krayt
when he
Dragon was
turned
my
around
best
all
friend.
his grimacing with his scar. He didn't look like the kind of guy that'd be like, not the crate.
it.
Yeah, like the Rancor Keeper. He's just crying.
The
We really
Rancor guy.
bonded.
Does every monster on this planet have a buddy? What's going on?
I'm hoping, because right now this is following what season 1 started off as, which is just a monster of the week. Every episode, he'd meet some new people, help them out, move on, which is okay because that's like an old Western kind of thing, you know. But I like towards the end of season 1, they started building a bigger story and they started bringing some of the characters back that they showed earlier. And it started kind of weaving together to mean something. And I hope they're doing that this time too. Because really all we saw in this one was that Boba Fett's still alive.
Well, speaking to my other to the story that I was saying maybe happening, they may run into Ahsoka Tano here on Tatooine.
Well, she's supposed to turn up at some point, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be weird. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out.
I'm interested
I
to see
think
how
it's
she's
gonna
going
be
to
fun.
look. I mean, I think it's going to be fun, but I'm interested to see how, because to me that character, I think would be a challenge to translate from animated to live action. You know, with the way
Huge
her,
eyes and stuff.
yeah. And
I
the-
think Rosario Dawson's a good pick for her
Yeah.
though.
yeah, I think. so.
And going from Clone Wars to Rebels, they already had different sort of animation styles, and she had a sort of distinct look in each of those series. So the character's already been kind of, interpreted.
So
Plus,
she's
one thing they did in Clone Wars that was neat is she's really young at the beginning of Clone Wars, and you see her get older and become like a full-grown person by the end of that series. So that's another, and now this is another few years after Rebels because she's much older in Rebels, and now this has to be what 5 or 6 years. If this is 5 years after Jedi, then this is like 7
And
or 8
this'll-
years since we saw her in Rebels.
And this will also be after her and the kid from Rebels,
Ezra.
Ezra, went off looking for Thrawn, right?
I can't remember. Wasn't she with? How did she end up? I thought she was with Sabine at the end of Rebels.
Maybe.
Are they gonna? I
I need to
presume
rewatch it too. I'm gonna be
she's
lost.
gonna help find the child's home, right? I mean, because she's still a good Jedi person, right? I haven't seen Rebels. She's still a Jedi on the good
Yeah,
side.
She's as Jedi as they come now. Like,
Yeah.
like
So
she's all the Jedi we got.
Yeah.
she would pretty much just
Arguably better Jedi than Luke.
Well, she is. That's why
Yeah.
that final season of Clone Wars, that final arc, is really important because the fact that she left the Order does make her a little bit more. I mean, people would say gray Jedi before, but that doesn't seem to mean anything in the canon. But this idea of the Jedi that have sort of disavowed the Jedi Order, but still maintained the Jedi values. And that would be, Luke would be one of those just because there was no Jedi Order. He was already brought up to sort of go his own way. And in the end, he did go against what Obi-Wan and Yoda told him he had to do to become a Jedi, and became a different kind of Jedi for doing that.
Well, I mean, Ahsoka would be the most qualified person to get Baby Yoda back to its people. Because she was around during the Clone Wars. She was aware of Yoda at his
Yeah,
peak.
she at
and-
least knows that that's a race. Nobody else even recognizes that this baby is anything.
how can that be? I mean, Yoda was famous, wasn't he? He was like the head of the Jedi Council during the High Republic or whatever you'd call it.
I would think that seems to suggest that Yoda's influence seems to be closer to Coruscant and the surrounding area. Because when
Okay,
you
so
start
he's not well
getting
known
out
outside
into
of
the
that.
world, there are people like Jedi's weren't real. It's like, geez, there's
Yeah,
like
that's
thousands
true.
of them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, on Coruscant, we didn't get too many of them out here on Tatooine.
It almost, I mean, it's also been kind of
Fake news.
thrown out there. Well,
news,
yeah,
yeah,
that
exactly.
that the Empire, put out a misinformation campaign to make them sound more like myths and legends than
That's something they cover really well in the Aftermath books a little bit, is some of the actual deliberate misinformation. Because here's a missed opportunity in Rise of Skywalker that we won't explore very far. But one of the things that they do in Aftermath is they perpetuate the rumor that Palpatine is still alive. That's one of the ways that they try to maintain order, is by saying that it's false that he was killed. And they're trying to perpetuate that rumor so that people don't rebel. They think that the Empire is fine, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been an interesting angle to play. Not that they should have necessarily done an imposter, because that would have been silly, but there was a way to play that where it wasn't just like, actually, he really is just alive. he has 100 clones of himself. Like, he's got Snooks in jars. I mean, so it just worked out.
He could have been a Force ghost, and it'd have been so creepy.
I know.
I mean, that's like a straight up
that.
poltergeist, scary. Anyway, let's not get in. We'll waste an hour.
The themes and everything, but yeah,
really start going down that road.
So I liked episode 1. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed the action. The effects looked great.
I love Timothy Oliphant. I love seeing him in the show. I'd like to see more of that character, especially now that it's being played by him. I don't want the whole season to happen on Tatooine, but I would like it if they hung around a little bit longer. This sort of ragtag group that they've put together. I'd like to see them do more. I mean,
I'm all down with seeing these other characters. At least they're not from the original trilogy. Sabine Wren and all that. I don't mind seeing them. That's not going to bother me because it's not from the original trilogy. It's not hitting us over the head with all the things we remember from when we were kids. Well, I don't know how he's going to handle that. He didn't have action figures of those guys.
Well, yeah, you're right. They need to stay away from
That's where Filoni comes in.
Yeah.
Even the speeder bike that he's riding is a straight up indoor speeder bike. The other guy had a cool speeder bike, at least. It looked like a pod racer kind of thing or something.
Where it just used that single engine and he just turned it into something. Yeah. I like they go to the worlds where they just have to scrap stuff together.
And see, that was cool. They both could have been like that, but no, we had to have we know that's the speeder bike, the one we saw in the movie. But that's cool.
I don't have a problem with the use of that aesthetic.
Where's the guy chasing them, the Imperial? I guess we just haven't seen or heard from him since.
Where is Ming Na? So I think they're going to have to spend some time on Tatooine because they're going to have to.
Yeah, I assume that she'll come back into it and that she either knows Boba Fett or she knows Vanth. I don't know.
Okay, now which one? Who was this?
She was the one from the episode where they went to Tatooine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And what was her objective? God, I'm getting old. I can't remember crap.
Yeah, I should have rewatched. The runtime is less than 3 hours of season 1. It would have been the easiest binge.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I may have to binge season 1 between this and next episode just so I look like I know.
I think I will because that's a lot of
more Rebels. I'll have to watch the last season Rebels as well to get myself back.
But yeah, I forget what her objective was. Was she another bounty hunter after Baby Yoda? Was that? Well, I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
I don't remember what she was there for.
Just to be
no, they were hunting her. I don't remember why she was there, but he was assisting in a bounty on her.
Oh,
she's some kind of assassin. But I don't remember if they said why she was on the planet. Let's not dwell on this. We'll do our research before next time and look like we know what we're talking about.
We'll fix this. Had one more episode left on her Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. contract, so they just threw her in Mandalorian for one episode just to.
Yeah, I think they put her in there to apologize for the last 2 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, she had to do was walk across the set, right? Just walk across the sound stage from the other. Because they're both run by Disney.
I don't actually know where they produced those shows.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. feels very much like just Los Angeles. They're running around.
Yeah, that's what
fighting.
Like the last 2 seasons could have been Vancouver. Like if they're like, yeah, we were saving money.
Did they shoot all this stuff in Nevada or something? I wonder, because they surely didn't go to Tunisia. Surely.
No, have you? Yeah, see this. Watch the background stuff. They've got that fancy virtual studio that they use. I
Oh,
forget.
with the big LEDs.
Yeah, what's it
Yeah.
called? They have a name for it. I can't even remember. With like the
Yeah.
chamber or something like that. I don't even remember what it's called.
Man,
But
that is
but it's
badass
amazing,
from a
the
production
technology.
standpoint.
Well, it looks like they're in a real desert. I mean, I totally. If they aren't, I'm impressed.
Well, what Favreau likes about it is you're creating the lighting conditions and everything. So it's different than doing green screen because you actually create that a consistent look between the live action pieces that they have, the practical stuff, and the background that they create. Like the background creates its own light. When the light shifts in the background, it affects the lighting as it hits the actors and the props and everything.
That was beautiful in Solo, like when they would jump to light speed and stuff, and you'd see the light, flickering on their faces from when they, when they're at light speed.
Yeah, it just enriches the whole thing. If you haven't watched that gallery series with the behind the scenes stuff, watch that. There's some real neat stuff.
But their technology is really cool. They just that movie First Man did it to simulate like Apollo 11, and it was really cool too. It's a really neat technology and relatively simple. When it's all said and done, I mean, just LED.
Well, I think the actual programming part isn't that simple because it has to move with the camera.
Not simple at all because
the perspective
game engine
moves
that they use. Yeah, it actually shifts and adjusts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like the technology. Like
it's
the LED
amazing.
Technology itself. I mean, you can, with a video camera, you can shoot into an LED screen and be able to see it. There's no flicker. And so you could sort of produce that effect at home if you wanted to.
If you don't change angles, you could, yeah. If you had a big enough TV.
Yeah. But I'm assuming
you
they
get close enough to your
Star
TV.
Wars. We'll do that next time. We just have Star Wars in the background. Like, here I am on Tatooine.
I'm assuming they use Unreal Engine to do that.
Who knows?
The hot thing.
Well, it's literally like a gaming engine that they have. That's the technology that they leverage to build that. Because that real-time rendering is what makes it work.
Pretty cool stuff, man.
It's very cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see this. They haven't even gotten into anything. It's not too late to have a young Luke running around somewhere in The Mandalorian.
A young Luke?
Well, he wouldn't be young in terms of the movies. He'd be older than the movies, but he'd be younger than...
Well, let's say he'd be like in his early 30s at that point. It's like 5 years after the Empire falls, right?
Yeah.
So I see what you mean. Like actually bring Luke back into the story.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be weird.
To get Sebastian Stan to play Luke, but everyone keeps saying that's what should happen. It's like, do it then. What do I care?
They could just get Mark Hamill because they're so good now at making people look young.
They're not that good.
I thought it's come a long way.
Look like Rogue One.
No, not generating people from scratch, but like I thought Samuel Jackson, they did a good job on him in that Captain Marvel movie and stuff. It's come a long way, I think.
I think at some point though, because Mark Hamill is so much visibly older, like you could use him for performance capture for that, but I don't think it's a matter of simply de-aging him at that point because
I think they would have to do it kind of like they did the Rogue One thing where they had another actor that they paste his face on.
And at that point, I'd rather you just have another actor play the character. I don't care.
Yeah, Rogue One looked terrible.
Yeah, those are just
that part of it. Nothing else. Everything else looked fine, but that part.
And even if they had done it a certain way, he did. They just overused the effect. Like they could have made that at work if they hadn't got like we said, Tarkin could have shown up as a hologram, and you would have been like, that was amazing.
Yeah, or even just kept them in the shadows. Like don't have them in direct light. Yeah.
The level of hubris that goes into doing a close up of a fake Tarkin.
Yeah,
like, that's not going to work.
Well, it was John Knoll. John Knoll's like Mr. Adobe. He was one.
Did they do all the Tarkin stuff in the reshoots?
In the reshoots?
Well, yeah, John Knoll didn't direct the whole movie.
I thought he did.
Oh, Gareth Edwards started out on that movie.
Oh, that's
and
right. That's right.
They
He did.
brought, and
Mm.
technically he was the director throughout, but I think John Knoll mostly did the reshoots.
Oh, well, John Knoll was heavily involved, so that, him just being the effects guy that he is, he's gonna, he's gonna use it.
Lucas would have done that too. I mean, he
Yeah,
loved that kind of stuff, but it wasn't ready.
Yeah, it
I
was a
hope
neat
that they are
idea.
able. Like, I don't like the idea of altering films with new technology as it comes along, like he did with the special editions.
Yeah,
But in this case, I'm okay with
I'd
it.
allow it for that. If you guys promise not to touch the rest of the movie, that's the whole problem. If you just touch up the broken stuff, once
Yeah.
you reopen the case, though, that's the problem. When you're like, what else can we do? Like,
Yeah, how far is too far? Is like, slippery slope, man.
it really is a slippery slope with these guys.
Next thing you know, you got a remake.
Yeah. You got a Rogue Special Edition.
Mhm.
So we're looking good on so far this season. I'm digging it. Looking forward to what Boba Fett's going to do.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
So we'll tune in
Good.
and get, like, I may bone up before next time for real, just so we
Yeah.
not quite as ignorant.
Nice, honest stand-up fight. That was just a good way to get started. Go kill a big Krayt Dragon.
Well, and you got to also keep Mando in his wheelhouse. I mean, these are the things that he's good at doing. I mean, I'm not saying that they can't have situations where he'd have to figure something out, but I'm just saying if we're watching them stomp through the Star Wars universe, we want to see, them fighting monsters and stuff. So this is a good one. And it
Yeah.
had that feel of the Magnificent Seven kind of thing, but instead of like we're all gonna fight bandits, it's like they unite all the. It reminded me of the Aduba 3, except they were all like trying to kill the behemoth.
Yeah. I don't want to spend a whole season just rehashing the same thing that we did last season. Because even last season, he fought that big rhinoceros elephant, whatever the hell that thing was.
Yeah.
I don't want to just keep doing that. But I think I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that we'll meet with whoever we have to meet, and then we'll go to some new planet with a whole
Bespin.
new kind of vegetation. Yeah.
I got a lead on Bespin.
It's weird. We got to go to Endor now.
Like,
It's
God,
like, oh man.
I
It's
don't know if they'll ever do that with Mando.
the next clue is in Hoth.
I don't know if they'll ever do that with Mando, because Mando's a Western. Mandalorian. I mean, this show's
that's
a
the other
Western.
reason going to these
Yeah.
desert planets works, because it's a spaghetti Western vibe.
Yeah, but man, come on. There's other kinds of deserts.
It's a desert. Well, I'm with you. I would like to
He's
see
got to
them in
stop
some
somebody
different
who's
locale.
poisoning horses. Right?
Would it be cool to see
Exactly right.
if you had a Western and you took your Western character and you put him in the Far East and he was in like an exotic world with martial artists, but he had his guns on his side, that'd been cool. We could do that with Mando. He can go to some new
A
place.
jungle planet where we're being hunted.
Hey, they own Predator now.
Mhm.
They could do that.
Oh my God! Just do that. People.
Well,
flip
Marvel
their
has
lids.
Predator.
Marvel
I don't know
doesn't
if-
have Predator. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Marvel got the
Disney.
rights to Disney got the rights to Predator and
Yeah.
Alien. And
Disney
they're putting
owns
they're
all
they're
those properties.
they're showing up in Marvel Comics now.
Good
Yeah, not
grief.
surprisingly. But to be fair, the Predator fought Archie in comics, so he
Well,
was
so did the
getting around.
Punisher.
What?
Yeah, the
What?
Punisher fought Archie. I don't know if
After
they fought.
50 years of
There's
Archie,
an
you
issue.
run out of ideas. I mean, he hasn't picked a girlfriend. He's been in like a junior in high school for like 60 years.
So you
And
got
still
Daddy
can't
Ed
decide
Gonna
I
come.
mean,
Who you
that's
gonna
just
roll?
He likes
that's just
that.
another thing I've heard. Because yes, I've heard that Archie has taken a very strange turn.
Yeah.
Like things
They're
are
just trying to stay relevant, man.
and I did know that, but I didn't know that he fought the Predator.
I haven't
Or
seen
the
that.
Punisher, or-
I haven't seen
I
that.
had a
There
few-
is.
I don't think I got the whole series, but I had a few issues of it when they did that. I can't remember if there were like 3 or 4 in a limited series, but it was
Well,
fun.
how many times has Jughead been killed? If that's the case, because I mean,
I can't
maybe-
remember. I do
be
think
the
he got
first thing
killed
I
in
would
that
do
one,
if
though.
I was a Predator is I'd kill Jughead just to
Get that goofy hat.
Just
Well,
some
because
general
you
yeah,
got-
that would be the funniest, where he just rips the spine out and the skull just has that little hat on it still. That would be a good gag.
Mm.
Who wears that on Andy Griffith's show? Is it
Gomer? No,
Gomer? Goober.
Yeah. Goober, the one who replaced Gomer after Gomer went to the Marines.
What about? I was thinking about. I shouldn't get into this on this, but never mind.
For
Some of the
goodness sake.
characters on that show, on the Dukes of Hazzard, that's what I was thinking of.
Mm.
They have a cooter, an Enos, a hog. You start thinking about this stuff, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's not a very favorable opinion that they have of Georgia.
Like, what's the subtext here?
But we've probably met some of those guys.
All right, y'all. We should wrap it up so the kids don't get bored.
I think we're done.
Yeah, shortest attention span, kids.
Yeah, but that
Well-
was fun. So we do have more. We'll do more of these Mandos because I think it's fun to do, and we'll do some more of these Zoom related videos because that is something that's fairly easy for us to get done also. And then we'll do some more Marvel Age Star Wars where we talk about Marvel comics and that sort of thing.
And definitely check out TV Ate My Dinner. That's where Greg comes in. He may come into some Marvel Age Star Wars episodes too. We'll see.
Yeah, who
All
knows?
right.
But
I'll be down with that.
but check out TV Ate My Dinner. This is kind of a TV Ate My Dinner theme kind of show. We're just doing it on the Marvel Age because we're talking about Star Wars and that's our
Yeah,
current
'cause
thing
it
that we're doing.
ties.
But
And all this stuff is on tv8mydinner.com. So go there and you can listen to TV Ate My Dinner episodes and you can see the other vidcasts that we have done. We haven't done as many videos at TV Ate My Dinner, but we have those because we have a YouTube channel for that also. But go to Marvel Age Star Wars if you're not there already, and subscribe to the page. Subscribe to the TV Ate My Dinner page. And
Yeah,
subscribe
subscribe
to
to-
the
just
podcast. Just click
subscribe to everything.
Visit the
click everything on the internet. What's the worst that could happen?
visit the TV Ate My Dinner Facebook if you haven't already ditched
Sure.
Facebook.
We're on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
think we
the
need to move on.
Expanding Universe
I don't
Facebook.
think anyone.
Well, you gotta have calls to action. How are we supposed to get the engagement?
Yeah,
I'm
really.
saying I think we need to move on from Facebook to something like
Oh no, I can't. To what?
Imgur or something.
Yeah. What
or-
else? What else?
I-
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't get the Twitter. I mean, I have Twitter, but
We're on Twitter. If
I'm
you
just
yeah,
saying
want
that's
to
where the
follow
people
us on
are.
Twitter. We're
I
there.
That's
know.
all I'm saying.
But
Like
it's
we're
way
like,
to be
on
on
check
Twitter.
us out on our MySpace, our
Mm.
live journal.
If
It's-
you were
it's
if you were to
live
follow
journal.
us and message us on Twitter, I would answer. We have Twitter,
Mm.
but we probably post more stuff to Facebook in general.
we're the Facebook generation. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I'm a MySpace generation. It's just not there anymore. Remember Live Journal?
Oh yeah. Well, y'all thought that was the coolest ever.
No,
You
I
used to
hated it.
post
That's
on
when I
that,
thought the
Greg. I
internet was
used
a
to read your
fad.
live journal. You had some deep thoughts on there that you might should scrub from the internet. You should look into that.
Who me?
Make sure that's
Yeah.
not still out there. Make sure you're not on the Wayback Machine somewhere. saying
Damn,
some
I gotta
stuff
go
you
look
might
at it.
regret.
I don't remember what I wrote.
It's like Sean walked away today. I'd never noticed how tight his jeans were before.
Had I killed him where he stood if he wasn't standing on my favorite carpet.
Stay tuned. Check out Sean's book on Amazon. It's called The Cosmic Unconscious.
That's true.
Check out TV Ate My Dinner. Got Greg in that. And we'll see you next week for Mandalorian and hopefully also for some more traditional Marvel Age
So-
Star Wars shows. Okay,
right.
so I'm Brooks,
I'm Sean.
I'm Greg.
and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Snoop.